Qur'an relates many stories that it presents as true. Some Arabs at the time of Muhammad accused him of simply retelling myths and legends, asatir al-awwalin. The Qur'an strongly denied this and insisted that what it relates of such stories are factual details. As the Qur'an says when relating the story of the companions of the cave, نَحْنُ نَقُصُّ عَلَيْكَ نَبَأَهُمْ بِالْحَقِّ. We relate to you their news in truth. I want to briefly mention some of these stories and ask, are these really true? I'm not asking if they have some true allegorical value or impart some metaphorical lesson, because that's what myths and legends have always been used for. But I'm asking whether they are actual historical events. Or were the unbelievers at Muhammad's time correct? That regardless of whether the intent is to convey a message or a moral, nevertheless, they are legends and myths, and not actual historical events. Let's begin with the story of Ya'juj and Ma'juj. The Qur'an tells us that Dhul Qarnayn travelled to a land where the people offered to pay him to build a barrier between them and the evil tribes of Ya'juj and Ma'juj who are causing great mischief in the land. So Dhul Qarnayn builds a great iron barrier between the two mountains that Ya'juj and Ma'juj are unable to climb over nor dig through. They are trapped there until the end of time, when they will break through and surge like waves and swarm from every mound, causing havoc. Now, is this a true historical account? Are there really two tribes of people who have been scratching at this wall for around 2 millennia? People who have remained hidden from modern satellite technology that has mapped every inch of our globe? How many generations of these tribes have lived and died behind this wall? All unnoticed for 2,000 years? And not one of them able to find some other route out from behind this wall? Just waiting there until the last days, when they will come swarming out to cause havoc around the world, presumably with the Iron Age weapons that they had, unless they've developed heavy industries. And does the story of Suleiman relate actual historical events? He is supposed to have had power over the jinn, animals, birds, insects, and wind, which he could command to do whatever he willed and to go wherever he wanted. He could hear the ants talking. He had jinn working for him to build his great temple and his mighty kingdom, the like of which will never be granted to anyone after him. Though the jinn don't seem to have done a terribly good job, because we don't have any evidence that such a great kingdom even existed, even though we have plenty of evidence from lesser kingdoms at the time. Then there's the talking hoopoe bird who told Suleiman about the Queen of Sheba. So Suleiman got one of his jinn to teleport her throne from Yemen to Jerusalem in the blink of an eye. And then there's the strange way that Suleiman dies leaning on his stick, but he stayed there in the upright position without anyone noticing, night and day, forcing the jinn to carry on working for him until Woodworm eventually ate through his stick and he fell down. Do you think this is a historical account? Or what about Noah and the flood? Noah, who spent 950 years preaching to his people? Yes, that's 950 years. Really? Is this a historical account? Or the story of Surat al-Fil, where an army of birds throw stones and wipe out a whole army? Or the story of the two angels, Harut and Marut, who were sent to Babylon, and people learnt from them how to cause division between man and a wife, and that which harms them and does not benefit them, and the shayateen who went around teaching magic? Or the strange murder mystery in Surat al-Baqarah, where the Bani Israel found a man murdered and disputed about who was responsible, so God told Moses to sacrifice a cow and then take a piece of that sacrificed cow and hit the dead body with it. The man then came back to life and revealed who the murderer was. Or the sleepers of the cave who fell asleep for 300 years. Or Ibrahim, who cut up birds into pieces and placed them on mountaintops, then called them back together again. or Yunus swallowed by a whale, or Moses with his stick that turns into a snake, his hand that glows white, and parting the seas so Bani Israel can escape, and so on and so on. Are all these really true historical accounts? I'm not against myths and legends. On the contrary, I recognize the important role they play in human consciousness and in relating values and morals. The problem for me is when such things are taken literally as true historical facts. This has the result of subordinating reason to text. No matter what one may think rationally, one must suppress those thoughts and feelings in favour of unquestioning acceptance and obedience to the literal text of the Qur'an. This can lead to fanaticism and extremism. So I want to ask you honestly, are these stories really actual historical events? I repeat, I'm not asking whether they are allegorical stories intended to convey a message or a moral. I'm asking, did they really happen? Because the Qur'an says they did.